fractions. Now listen carefully. We're not adding and subtracting fractions. I'm not adding and subtracting fractions. When I add and subtract fractions, I use the LCD and I write it on the bottom, don't I? I'm not doing that here. I only add and subtract fractions when I have an expression. This is an equation. How can you tell? There's an equal sign. When I have an equation, I don't want denominators. I want to get rid of every fraction. So what I'm going to do, instead of writing the LCD on the bottom, I'm going to multiply by it. When you multiply by it, it's called an LCM, the lowest common multiple. M standing for multiply. You see? M standing for multiply. Now watch what I'm going to do. The way you get the LCM, which is the same number as the LCD, but we're doing something different with it because it's an equation and we're not adding and subtracting fractions. The way you get the LCM is you pick the biggest denominator. Isn't this the biggest one? 18, 9, and 6. And you say to yourself, do every one of these denominators divide into 18? Yes. So 18 is the LCM. 18. If I was doing a problem like this, the way to get, now this is not an equation, so actually what I would be finding here would be an LCD, wouldn't it? Because I would be adding fractions, right? The way you get it is you pick the biggest denominator, which is what? 8. Does 8 work? No, 3 doesn't go into 8 evenly. So you take 8 and you go 8 times 2. What do you get? 16. Does 6 go into 16 or 3? No. So you take 8 and you go times 3. And what do you get? 24. 6, 2, 3, and 8 all go into 24. That is called the doubling and tripling method for finding the LCD. It's the quickest. You take the biggest denominator, and if it doesn't work by itself, which it does here, you go times 2 and you try that. You go times 3 and you try that. You go times 4 and you try that. Very quickly you'll get to the number that works. That's the best way to do it. What's the LCM? 18. This is an equation. You don't write 18 on the bottom. You multiply by 18. You multiply by 18. And you multiply by 18. This is an equation. I'm clearing the fractions. That's what it's called. Clear the fractions. It's an equation. What's 6 into 18? What's 9 into 18?
2.
What's 18 into 18?
1.
Right. 3x, yes?
Yeah.
What's this? 2x. What's 3x minus 2x? Right, the answer is 5. One last comment on this problem. If the number over here was not a fraction, let's make believe this number over here was just 2, not a fraction. You would still multiply it by the LCM. Of course, if this was just a 2 here, the LCM would be 18 again. Because wouldn't I just be looking at 9 and 6? And I would have to take 9 times 2. It would still be 18, wouldn't it? So if this was just a 2 here, a big 2, the LCM using 6 and 9 would still be 18. And I would multiply 2 times 18. Of course, that would turn into 36, wouldn't it? So every term gets multiplied by the LCM, whether it's a fraction or not. Is that clear? All right, wonderful. Okay, let's move on to the next.